There's a reason why some people walk through chaos and remain completely still. The world throws storms at them. Plans fall apart. Loved ones betray them. People insult them for no reason. They lose things that once meant everything to them. And yet, they don't collapse. They don't panic. They don't crumble. They stand there like a mountain, unshaken, untouched, and somehow free. You've seen them. They're not cold. They're not emotionless. But they have something most of us don't. They don't react to life. They respond with clarity. They don't try to control everything. They've mastered the one thing that matters, themselves. What do they know that you don't? The average person spends their life in reaction mode. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they explode. A passive-aggressive coworker throws shade. They spiral into overthinking. A loved one forgets to text. They feel invisible. One plan fails, and it ruins their entire week. We've been conditioned to believe that life is happening to us, that other people are responsible for how we feel, that we're powerless in the face of disrespect, failure, or uncertainty. But what if that's the biggest lie you've ever believed? What if nothing, no person, no situation, no loss, no insult had the power to affect you again? That's not a fantasy. That's what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of integrating all parts of yourself so deeply that you become whole. When you're whole, nothing incomplete in the outside world can destabilize you. This is not about becoming detached. It's about becoming untouchable. And today, you're going to learn exactly how. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Let that sink in. Most people live as if life is something that happens to them. They think they're just reacting to the world, but in truth, they're only reacting to their own unresolved self. Someone insults you, your body tenses, anger rises. You want to lash out or retreat, but ask yourself, what actually caused that pain? Was it the insult, or the part of you that believes it might be true? That's the secret Jung was trying to show the world. Nothing outside of you has power, unless it finds a wound inside you to attach itself to. If someone calls you stupid and it ruins your day, it's not their words. It's the part of you that still doubts your intelligence. If someone ignores you and you feel worthless, it's the part of you that still believes your worth is dependent on attention. This is why two people can face the exact same situation and respond in completely opposite ways. One person shrugs and walks away. The other spirals into emotional chaos. It was never about the event. It was about what's happening inside you. And here's the brutal truth. Everything that irritates you in others, everything that triggers an emotional reaction, everything that causes you to feel attacked, judged, or unworthy, is a mirror. A mirror showing you a part of yourself that you have not yet faced. This is what Jung called the shadow, the hidden parts of your psyche that you've repressed, the parts you pretend don't exist, your fears, your insecurities, your unhealed wounds, your deepest shame. Most people run from their shadows. They try to silence them, drown them out with distractions, blame the world for making them feel this way. They think if they avoid it long enough, it will go away. But that's the trap, because what you avoid doesn't disappear. It controls you from the dark. Shadow work isn't about being spiritual. It's not about meditation or retreats. It's about radical self-responsibility. It's the ability to pause in the heat of an emotional trigger and ask, what part of me is reacting right now? What wound is this touching? What am I still carrying that makes this moment hurt? It's not easy. Most people will never do it, because it's much more comfortable to blame someone else. My boss is toxic. My partner disrespected me. The world is unfair. But the day you stop blaming and start observing, that's the day everything begins to change. You stop being a puppet of your emotions and start becoming the master of your reality. This is the beginning of an untouchable mind. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control things they were never meant to control. They want people to like them. They want life to be predictable. They want things to go exactly as planned. And when that doesn't happen, they suffer. They feel betrayed when someone disrespects them. They take it personally when life throws a curveball. They spiral when outcomes don't match their expectations. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. Nothing is under your control, except one thing, your perception. Carl Jung understood something deeply powerful that most people never realize. The world outside of you is neutral. It is neither good nor bad, fair nor unfair. It simply is. The only thing that makes it feel painful or unfair is the lens through which you're viewing it. Think about this. Two people can go through the exact same experience. A breakup, a financial collapse, a public failure. One of them breaks down, consumed by self-doubt, bitterness, and blame. The other sees it as a turning point, a necessary ending that led to something better, a lesson that shaped them. The event was the same. The difference? Perception. Your suffering doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from the story you're telling yourself about what's happening. Jung said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." But I'd add, you are also the meaning you assign to things. And here's where things get interesting. The more you try to control the external world, the more power you give it over your internal world. The moment you need someone to respect you, they have power over you. The moment you need a situation to go a certain way, it controls your peace. The moment you need life to be fair, you've set yourself up for heartbreak. Because the truth is, control is an illusion. But here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing control is the moment you gain true power. Suddenly you're free. Free from the need to be understood. Free from the fear of being judged. Free from the exhausting loop of trying to force outcomes. You stop needing people to approve of you. You stop trying to fix everything. You stop chasing perfection. And something beautiful happens. You start to flow. You flow with life instead of resisting it. You respond instead of reacting. You accept instead of clinging. And ironically, when you stop needing everything to go your way, it often does. When you stop chasing validation, people respect you more. When you stop fearing failure, you take bolder action. When you stop resisting change, life opens up in ways you never imagined. This isn't just spiritual fluff, it's neuroscience. Studies in cognitive psychology and behavioral science show that the more we obsess over controlling things, whether it's a person, a situation, or even our own thoughts, the more psychological resistance we create. This is why people who are desperate for love often repel it. Why those who fear failure sabotage themselves. Why those who try to control every outcome often end up feeling the most powerless. Because control is not real. Perception is. And the moment you understand this, the moment you stop reacting and start observing, you stop being a puppet of the world. You become its quiet master. This is how you begin to shape reality, not by force, but by awareness. Imagine this. You're walking down the street completely at peace, when out of nowhere someone shouts an insult. They call you weak. They say you'll never make it. Most people would immediately react, feeling angry, hurt, or insulted. Their emotions hijack their logic. Their mind replays the scene over and over again, feeding the pain. But what if you could stay completely unaffected? What if you had the kind of emotional mastery that allowed you to stay calm, collected, and in control, no matter what anyone says or does? This isn't a fantasy. It's what philosophers, Stoics, Zen monks, and psychologists like Carl Jung have taught for centuries, that your real power begins when you stop reacting and start observing. If you want to become mentally strong and emotionally untouchable, you need to understand this truth. Nothing outside of you has the power to control you unless you allow it. The reason most people suffer is because their identity is built on a fragile foundation. They rely on other people's opinions, social validation, and outcomes they can't control. And when one of those things gets shaken, like a rude comment, a failed plan, or a breakup, their entire sense of self crumbles. That's why people break down when they're insulted. It's not just words. It's an attack on the version of themselves they've built through external approval. Carl Jung spoke often about the shadow self, the unconscious part of our personality that holds all our repressed emotions, fears, and unresolved trauma. And here's the hard truth. When someone triggers you emotionally, they aren't creating pain. They're exposing what already exists. If someone calls you a failure and you feel crushed, it's because a part of you fears it's true. If someone disrespects you and you explode, it's because you still depend on being respected to feel worthy. True emotional mastery isn't about pretending not to feel. It's about facing those hidden emotions head on. You don't run from discomfort. You explore it. You observe your thoughts. Instead of acting on them, you respond with clarity instead of reacting with emotion. That's how to stop overreacting. That's how to reclaim your power. You start recognizing emotional triggers as messengers, not enemies. This is what emotional detachment really means. It's not coldness. It's not indifference. It's control. You can feel the storm rising inside you, but you choose not to be swept away. You don't silence your emotions. You understand them so deeply that they lose their control over you. Just like the sky is never affected by the storms passing through, your awareness remains untouched by temporary emotions. And here's where everything shifts. When you become unshakable, people can no longer control you. Negative energy loses its grip. You're no longer chasing approval or fighting for attention. You don't need the world to treat you a certain way, because your peace no longer depends on it. This isn't just a mindset shift. It's how to rewire your brain for strength. Studies in psychology and neuroscience show that by practicing awareness, mindfulness, and reframing, you create new neural pathways. You stop being a slave to your reactions. You break free from old emotional patterns. You gain what most people spend their whole lives chasing: inner peace and mental toughness. This is what it means to build an untouchable mind. So, how do you actually build an untouchable mind? How do you become someone who doesn't get triggered by every insult, every rejection, or every unexpected failure? The answer doesn't lie in escaping reality. It lies in how you train your mind to respond. Mental toughness isn't something people are born with. It's a habit, a skill, a daily practice. And like any skill, it's built in silence, under pressure, in the small moments that no one sees. Let me show you what that looks like. Imagine you're at work. You just spent hours perfecting a presentation, and during the meeting, your manager cuts you off, barely acknowledges your effort, and praises someone else for a smaller task. Most people would feel invisible, unappreciated, angry. They'd stew in resentment all day, maybe even carry that bitterness home. But someone with an untouchable mind would pause, observe the feeling, and reframe the situation. Instead of spiraling, they'd say, "This doesn't define me. I know the value I bring, whether it's recognized or not." That's not weakness, it's power. It's emotional mastery. Here's another one. Think about Michael Jordan. Early in his career, he was cut from his high school basketball team. Most kids would have taken that as proof that they weren't good enough. But Jordan didn't react with self-pity. He trained harder. He used that rejection as fuel, not a wound. That's what it means to transform pain into progress. It's not about what happens. It's about what you do with it. You don't need to be a legend to apply this. Let's say you're in traffic. Someone swerves in front of you, flipping you off like it's your fault. Your first instinct might be rage. But what if you didn't take the bait? What if you saw it as a test, a small opportunity to stay calm, to prove to yourself that no stranger has the power to ruin your peace? Every time you do that, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching your nervous system that you are safe. You are in control. You are not reactive. You are responsive. This is exactly what Carl Jung meant when he said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Awakening doesn't require a life-changing event. It happens in milliseconds, in those everyday moments where you choose awareness over reaction. That's where true power is built. The moment someone mocks you, and you don't let it shape your self-worth. The moment life throws a curveball, and you bend with it instead of breaking. The moment anxiety creeps in, and instead of resisting it, you say, "I see you, but you don't own me." So start small. Observe yourself. What makes you angry? What shuts you down? What keeps replaying in your mind long after it's over? These are not flaws. They're doorways. Your triggers are your teachers. And every time you face one with awareness, you weaken its grip. The more you practice this, the stronger you become. Not in a hard, closed-off way, but in a calm, grounded way that says, "I don't need the world to be perfect for me to be at peace." Now think about someone like Viktor Frankl, the Jewish psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. He lost his family. He was imprisoned, tortured, stripped of all dignity. And yet he wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That is the essence of the untouchable mind. Frankl didn't escape suffering. He transcended it through perspective, and you can do the same. Whether it's heartbreak, failure, disrespect, or loss, your reaction is your responsibility. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt. You just have to stop giving it control. This is how the untouchable mind is built, not by avoiding life's challenges, but by meeting them with a new kind of strength, a quiet strength, the kind that doesn't shout or fight, but observes, understands, and responds with wisdom. Here's the truth most people never realize. Life isn't about controlling the chaos. It's about controlling what the chaos finds inside you. You will never reach a point where people stop being difficult, where challenges disappear, or where pain no longer exists. But you can reach a point where none of it owns you anymore, where your peace is no longer negotiable, where you walk into the same storm that used to destroy you and feel absolutely still. That's not detachment. That's power, and it's available to you right now. Because the real enemy isn't the world. It's your own reactivity, your own unconscious patterns, your own shadow pulling strings behind the scenes. And once you expose it, once you bring awareness to it, its power dissolves. Jung was right. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But only if you're willing to look. Only if you're willing to stop running, stop blaming, and start listening to yourself. So the next time you feel triggered, pause. The next time you want to lash out, observe. The next time life feels unfair, ask, what is this showing me about me? That's the moment you begin to rise. That's the moment you become untouchable. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And the craziest part? When you stop reacting to life, life starts responding to you. People start respecting your calm energy. Opportunities begin to show up without force. You move with a confidence that doesn't scream. It whispers. You're no longer driven by fear or needing to prove anything, because now you know who you are. You are not your triggers. You are not your fears. You are not your past. You are not the story your emotions have been telling you. You are the awareness behind it all. You are the sky, vast, still, powerful, while the storm rages and passes below you. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your reactions? Are you ready to stop giving the outside world power over your inner world? Because the moment you choose awareness over reaction is the moment you begin to truly live. If this message hit something deep inside you, drop a comment and let me know. What was your biggest takeaway? What's one area where you'll stop reacting and start observing? And if you're ready to build an untouchable mind, subscribe, because this is just the beginning. See you in the next one. Stay grounded, stay aware, stay powerful.